I just want to try to give a thank you to John Campbell, who is just, I have found him to be just the best analyst of the evolving COVID situation in terms of simplicity, accessibility, trustworthiness. You know, like, I'm pretty on the vaccine hesitant camp, pretty strongly on that camp. And, you know, I like someone like Brett Weinstein, who's more widely vilified because, you know, he takes a very specific position on a very, he takes a very extreme position on the failure of institutions and the seriousness and the corruption. He's very specific about it, and he's not an agreeable. It's really interesting. I think he's normal. He's, before whatever is happening to the world happened, like, he was quite an agreeable person, and he still is, but it's interesting the role he's taken. But, you know, he is provocative, whereas John Campbell is the opposite of clickbait, right? John Campbell is actually doing really simple statistical analysis. His commentary is getting increasingly, like, it must seem quite, I suppose, bitter and paranoid to people who sort of have the opposite concerns to him. But it's been a trip to watch him. You know, he was pretty pro everything at the beginning, pro vaccine, I guess, broadly. And he's gradually turned right around. But, you know, I think he's really interesting because I find him, like, it's not like I don't, you know, check in with the health department and stuff, but, you know, he seems to be, he's not vilified much because he's so impeccable. His like, credentials and his, like, moral qualities. You know, his message is so soft. And the gut punches that he has in terms of his critiques and stuff, they're never in the title. You know, they just come up organically in the video. And I'm not going to get into the details of this really, like, because we're not allowed to talk about it here, right? Like, but I got to say, this is, like, I'm mentioning this here because it's one of the principal things that's activated me politically. There's a handful of things over the last few years, some personal, some historic, that have transformed my outlook and my life on the world. I mean, lots of people, right? I'm not claiming to be unique, but it's just really surreal to me that, like, you're not allowed to criticize the health department policy in relation to COVID in all kinds of ways. Like, I'll just get shut down if I do. And that's unprecedented. And I'm really skeptical of the disinformation campaign broadly. Like, I'm not trying to bring down the government or anything. God, I need the government. I love the government. I can't live without them. I mean, you know, because there'll always be government, I think, you know, like, I'm not, you know, you gotta be realistic about it, right? I'm not a revolutionary, but I get treated like one. It freaks me out because all my radar is telling me that the winds are blowing in a very dark direction, and nobody's telling the truth, and it's like nobody's trying to lie for them. I mean, there are obviously a really important minority that is strategically lying very intensely, but most people on this are not trying to lie. It's absolute new religious war level complexity. Like metaphysics matter now because you know, something's at stake. Like, increasingly it's like the pie is getting smaller and the threats are getting larger, and suddenly everyone's not relaxed and getting along anymore because I think we're not as well, but also the stakes are higher. And I feel more and more that there's not a conspiracy, you know, in any really specific, you know, like David Icke kind of way. It's just a kind of the conspiracy of a nervous breakdown, right? Like what your unconscious does to you when something like that happens. It's a kind of epic civilizational karma that's happening. And I just know this now. It's weird. But I don't know how to talk about it because I'm not that interested in arguing about it. I'm realizing like I've been having arguments almost by accident out of habit, and it's just, yeah, the one I had with Vlad was the best. Somehow it brought me to YouTube in a realer way than I've been here before. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm just going to stay here. Use YouTube and see what happens. Talk about this. We're all life is an experiment. We're all canaries in a coal mine. It's ever been thus. Like, COVID didn't change the world. Like, it changed us. It made things real for me, I guess. It's a lot of things, but COVID especially is what, I don't know. I realized the jungle never went away. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I realized I thought I was, but I was just pretending to be that. And post-COVID, it's, yeah. I might try to talk about it, but I want to be cautious with the political stuff because it's, no one can tell the truth. Like, really, if we want to really get serious about what the truth is, how complicated it is.